It's Doris with Aldi Books. I'm here for a little Monday check-in. I had a great reading month in February. Unfortunately, the last few days weren't quite as good as the rest, but that happens. Let's just get this one out of the way. Yes, I know I don't often say bad things about books, but I'm just going to let it all hang out here. I picked this up naively thinking that it was historical fiction set in New Zealand during the gold rush of 1866. Now, it does have that setting, but I would not classify it as historical fiction. There are glimmers of historical fiction in it. When they went to the gold rush camp, I found that interesting. And there was a sentence or two about how you deal with the gold that you find, and that was interesting, but it was very brief. And that was about it for the historical fiction part of it. It could have been, you know, it could have been just, you know, a romance set in the time period, although it wasn't a romance. It was a mystery. This is one of those puzzly type mysteries, you know, who done it and what did they do? And that's not my thing, really. I read them on occasion when I'm in the mood and when they're like heavily historical, or I don't know. But yeah, so let me make sure you guys all know what this is about so that you will know whether you want to read it or not. So it's that, and let's talk about the structure, shall we? So this is, it's got some great little astrological maps somewhere in here, but you know, those are kind of cool to look at for a second or two. But this is structured around the phases of the moon. There's one. So yeah, it starts with the full moon and ends with the little tiny, you know, I forget what you call that. I've been in 6th grade science. Crescent moon? Crescent moon. Long enough to know that. Yeah. So, and when I say structure, I mean the writing. So clever. So the first chapters are huge. They are massively long. I would label them excruciatingly boring. Yes. And then when you get to the end, the little crescent moon chapters, those are not even 2 pages long. They're on 2 pages, but with the huge, I'm filtering my language. I usually say another word after huge when I'm in the mood, but I don't do that on filming. So anyway, the huge introductions to the chapters take up, you know, and then there's a big white space at the end of it. So really it's just a page. The last chapters are about a page long and they're choppy. Insert the same word after that. So yeah, the structure, I suppose if you like that kind of thing, it could be cool, but I just found it bad. And then the other thing that I don't like, books that repeat the same blank day. There's another, that's not the same one as the other one. This is the word that comes before. I should just go ahead and say it, but I'm not gonna. The same day over and over and over and over and over and over again. I don't like that. That's not my thing at all. So this doesn't exactly do that, but it might as well. You keep getting the same thing over and over and over from different people's perspectives. So you, the omniscient reader, are seeing all of this. I mean, obviously the characters don't know everything that's going on, but by golly, you, the reader, know it over and over and over and over and over again. Oh, to ad nauseum. Okay, and let's talk about the characters, because if this book had had interesting characters, it probably would have pulled me through, but alas, it did not. There are about, I don't know, 12 men or so from various European countries. And then there are two Asian gentlemen, Chinese. There are two Chinese gentlemen, and one of them is mining gold for the white guys, obviously. And the other one is an opium addict running an opium den, obviously. And then there are two women. One of them is a whore, obviously. And the other one is a madam of a whorehouse, obviously. There was one native indigenous man from New Zealand, a Maori gentleman, to where I liked him. But even he got bland by the end. Bless. So, yeah. That's all I have to say about this Man Booker winner. It just wasn't my thing, guys. Anyway. Then I finished up the month with a couple other quickies. The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. This was really sweet. It might not be your thing if you're not into cats. It's about a man and his cat that he adopts, a stray cat, and then he, after a few years, ends up having to give the cat away for reasons. And it's really sweet how he travels back and visits people that he's known throughout his lifetime and the impact he's had on their lives. And you know, you get the story told from the perspective of a cat, and I really enjoyed it. But it's definitely a cat lover's book. And I also read When the Emperor Was Divine by Julie Otsuka, and this was good. Not great, but it was a good historical fiction read. It's really short. It's based around the Japanese internment camps during World War II in the US, and you follow the one family. The dad is taken separately, and then the mom and two kids go to another camp, and it just follows their lives through the camp. It's very historical and kind of a lot of third-person feeling, so it's not very intimate with the characters, but it's very enriching from a historical perspective. So there was that. And then now I am starting some more fabulous reads. March is off to a great start again. Just this morning, I'm reading this with Ange from Beyond the Pages, Kristin Lavransdatter by Sigrid Undset. We finished the first book in this trilogy. This is a compilation. And yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It wasn't quite what I expected. It's historical fiction, true historical fiction, set in Norway during the, I think, 1300s. It's pretty early. Yeah, and the author just really researched and has a way of writing that you are really immersed in the atmosphere of the time and place. So I loved that about it. You're following a girl, Kristin. The first few chapters, she's a young child growing up with her family, and then she becomes a teenager and is betrothed to a man that she didn't pick herself and is not really interested in. And during her betrothal, she meets another guy that she is interested in, and a little lover's triangle there. And the other thing I think, Ange and I think she did well is she portrays an impetuous teenager quite well. And it's just kind of weird and quirky to read her back in this time period. But yeah, we really enjoyed it. It was not quite what we expected, and it's really a lot easier of a read than I expected. But yeah, it's very interesting thus far. And then I am almost done with The Winthrop Woman by Anya Seton. I started this in January, and it just got put aside for, I'm sure I was reading other things that I wanted to finish. And I decided last minute I wanted to try and finish this. And I started listening to it on audiobook at 2.0 speed, double time. And I know I've said before that I'm Southern and I can't do that. Normally I only listen to books at 1.25. But I was desperate and I just tried it, and it totally worked for this book. I liked it even more at that speed. And I think it's because, you know, this is another historical novel. This one is set in the 1600s in the American colonies. Anya Seton writes historical fiction based on true characters. She does a lot of research, and she's great with the atmosphere as well. So this one is based on John Winthrop, who was the first or one of the first governors of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, and it's focusing on his niece, Elizabeth. So it's really interesting, and it's just, like I said, her story, just a fictionalized account, but based on true documents. And so it's a little slower paced at times, but listening to it at twice the speed, it kind of took me out of that vocalization mode and back into this just word reading mode that you do mentally, if that makes sense. So yeah, I got a lot out of it at that speed, and it was just the right pace for me mentally. So definitely I have learned something new. It's always good to keep trying new things and try them over and over again, because sometimes what doesn't work one time will work another time. So yeah, I should be done with that in the next day or two and have it ready to talk about next week. And then just this morning, I started Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crowe, which is the sequel to Nevermore. This is a middle grades fantasy series centered around this delightful character, Morgan Crowe, and kind of a school-esque, magical school-esque sort of thing, but not really. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it too much, but very much enjoying it and think I'll race through it. And I also started yet another historical fiction. I guess it's that time of year, I don't know. The Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This is, I'm not sure the time period, probably the 1800s, I would guess. It starts out in Texas thus far, about a couple of old Texas Rangers that are kind of keeping a sort of cattle ranch with pigs. I love the pigs. If you've read this before, you'll know what I'm talking about. I've only read about 8 chapters thus far, but I'm finding it absolutely delightful. I mean, it's obviously got some problems with the, it's not a feminist tome, at least that I've seen thus far, but like I said, I'm greatly amused by the dialogue between these cowboys and the pigs. The pigs are a great character thus far. I will keep you posted on my thoughts as I go along. So yeah, that's what's going on. March is starting off great. I hope it's great for you. And that's all I got today. Thanks so much for watching, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.